He's highly ranked, number 7 with the IBF, number 8 with the WBA, has held a WBC silver title in the past and also an IBF Intercontinental. He was a very good amateur. Got a bronze medal at the World Championships in 2015, lost to Julio La Cruz, who I think at that point was probably at the peak of his powers, the Cuban. That spelled 2013 to 2017. He was successful beyond that, of course, but around that time he was basically unbeatable in that 3-round format. Boxed a lot of WSB too.
Итак, дамы и господа, нас ожидают 6 раундов бокса в суперсреднем весе. Лимит весовой категории 76,2 килограмма. Представляю участников боя и первым боксера в черном углу. Ему 30 лет, рост 187 сантиметров, вес 77,6 килограмма. Он представляет Тумеремо, Венесуэла. Его впечатляющий рекорд насчитывает 22 боя, 21 победа при всего одном поражении и 18 ярких побед нокаутом. Претендент на титул WBO Latino, действующий чемпион Венесуэлы среди профессионалов по прозвищу Danger Boy, опасный парень, Keiber Gonzalez. Его сопернику в золотом углу 32 года. Его рост 186 сантиметров, вес 77,8 килограмма. Мастер спорта международного класса, трехкратный чемпион России, бронзовый призер чемпионата мира, действующий чемпион WBA Asia и обладатель пояса WBC Silver, не знающий поражений, с рекордом 17 боев, 16 побед при одной ничье, 8 ярких побед нокаутом. Дамы и господа, из Новосибирска, Россия, Pavel Silyagin! Рефери поединка Дмитрий Болдырев.
Gentlemen, listen to my command, follow the rules, touch gloves.
Listo, listo.
Silyagin's had one fight in IBA.Pro before tonight. That was in May in Belarus, a win over 8 against Carlos Gongora, who at that stage had recently gone 10 against Christian and Billy, which is not an easy thing to do. So a touch of gloves between these two to start with. Silyagin in the white, Gonzalez in the black. They're scheduled for 6. There are high hopes for Silyagin. As I say, he's well ranked with a couple of those sanctioning bodies. And to describe him as well schooled, I think, would be an understatement. He's always, his entire career, being in exactly the kind of shape you see him now. The first time I watched him, I remember just being tremendously impressed by the back on him. I saw him in East London against Joshua Buatsi in a World Series boxing match between the British Lionhearts and the Russian team back in 2015, and he got the win that night. And I've been kind of looking out for him ever since. His pro career has maybe been a little bit of a slow burn, but you would say there are possibilities in that super middleweight division off the back of what we saw between Canelo and Crawford. You would expect those belts to scatter. They're already beginning to scatter. He's got a traditional kind of setup, hasn't he, when you look at him, Silyagin?
Well, fights with Gongora usually go one way. You either get stuck or you outbox him and you look good doing that, and that's what Silyagin did do, like you mentioned there. Unless you've been living under a rock, there's been one big movement in the super middleweight division. That's Terence Crawford's brilliant win over Canelo Alvarez. At 32, Silyagin wants to get a move on, unless you're Terence Crawford. Time waits for no man, but you want to position yourself into a more prominent position in that super middleweight picture, and that's what Silyagin aims to do. He's got Gonzalez in front of him. He's trying to put a halt to that, but Silyagin looks to be someone who could be a bit of a mover and shaker within a very much talented division for fighters who are looking to grab a title opportunity.
Just looking to try and use that jab, keep Gonzalez honest with that jab. Gonzalez with that high guard will look to kind of move in behind it. He doesn't work too much with his own lead hand, claiming to the referee there that he was caught round the back of the head. He's got 6 rounds here, and I think for Gonzalez, he will get off whenever he can. He will look to try and keep Silyagin honest, but I think he's aware of the fact that this is a difficult task for him. A kind of right hand lead there from Silyagin was interesting, almost stepped southpaw as he threw it, but so far he's been sensible. He's got that high guard himself. The elbows do come a bit away from the body, is one thing you notice when you look at the way that he's set up, but the early signs are here that he's going to get things probably his own way throughout the course of this 6 rounds. It'd be good to see Gonzalez really give it a crack here.
Gonzalez claimed that he took a shot to the back of the head, but it seemed like he was quite out of position there. And commentators we often talk sometimes about distress signals, but that seems to be a little bit of a distress signal from Gonzalez from taking that shot.
Third jab of that trio got through.
On the ears towards the back of the head.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, was there? When you see it the second time, it goes straight into the side of the head, and they can cause problems.
Gonzalez needs to get the measure of Silyagin's range pretty quickly, otherwise he can be on the end of the first shot and the final shot, the combination which was there previously.
He was unlucky when it came to the Olympic Games, Silyagin, because, as I mentioned, he won that bronze at the World Championships in 2015, and you expected to see him in Rio, really, but Russia had 2 really good middleweights in Artem Chebotarev and Peter Kamukov, and in the end it was Kamukov who got boosted up from middleweight to light heavyweight, and he ended up going to the Olympics at 81 kilos after getting through the world qualifier in Baku. So I don't know the exact ins and outs of what happened there, but having got a bronze medal at the World Championships the previous October, to not get an opportunity to qualify for the Olympics was surprising. Good lead left hand there from Gonzalez, but getting information about the ins and outs of selection at national team level when you're dealing with most teams, to be honest, but in my experience with Russia and Cuba, is basically impossible.
Nothing's rushed from Silyagin's work right now. He's picking his shots well, waiting to see for an opening, and then he'll throw.
Just got through with the jab there, Gonzalez.
He's finding his way into the fight now. The first round was way too tentative. I imagine his corner must have told him that he needs to get some work now, and he's doing that. Doesn't seem to be as afraid as he was in that first fight, just turning his back there though a little bit. Very much wary, reticent of a big shot coming through, but a bit more work now, a bit more foundation in his offense than there was in the first.
Good work again there though from Silyagin, just doubles up on the jab. Both of them found the target, drove him back to the ropes and looked to let go with that right hand. The right hand, every now and again from Silyagin, looks a little bit forced. He kind of muscles it in rather than just shoots it nice and loose straight down the middle. And he does like that right hand lead. He throws it again there. It's a risky shot because if you're short with it, then generally you're going to come a bit square and leave yourself quite open, but he's thrown it 2 or 3 times. Final 30 seconds of round 2. He stepped in there, Silyagin, but Gonzalez did well there. Just took his feet out, had that guard up. There was nothing really left on those punches by the time they landed.
better round from Gonzalez. Don't have him winning it, but sometimes boxing can be so complicated. But he's just simplified it, but actually just throwing this time round in the second round. That's helped him. An adjustment as well too in guarding his left ear from the first shot that he took in the first round. He's now aware of that. He's suitably not there, but suitably covering it up.
Yeah, I think what you said at the end of the first round was absolutely right. Sometimes fighters, when they're in that away corner, they'll just give you the impression that they'd rather not be there, and it can start quite quick. And he needed a decent second round there. He needed to just not feel sorry for himself and get himself into the fight, and he's done that. As you said, he didn't win that round, but he had a lot more to say, didn't he?
A lot more to say, and that's what you build off of. Something like you're in the away corner here, you're in a different territory. It's not expected really to go your way, but you've got to leave an impression in each round. Each round is its own matchup, each round is its own fight, and you've got to find your way into it. He found his way into it in the second, he didn't do it in the first. He's got something to build off of now.
Throws a right down to the body there, Silyagin, and then a left, but we haven't seen him work to the body too much. And when you look at the way that Gonzalez is set up, he's got that high guard. He's not really protecting that midriff at all. It's always on offer. It's always there for you.
His first minute, he's abandoned throwing with him, with Silyagin. The second round, the success that he had, he's just put it in the pocket for the moment. I'm not sure why. Might be at a moment ago he just tried that big wing and overhand right, so Silyagin saw it from
to a southpaw, Silyagin. To orthodox, goes down to the body there as he looks to trap Gonzalez in the corner. There's that right hand lead, but he stepped in and got the distance right with it, and stepped around it and through the left hand.
Odd round so far from Gonzalez. Don't quite know what he's trying here, apart from that big shot when he had success in that second round throwing with and finding a gap in between the shots with Silyagin. Maybe he's just trying a few things out and he'll revert back to what he did in the second.
That was a good right hand, the third punch of the combination, got round the back of the guard. So just about at the midway point here, Silyagin looking to finish this round nice and strong, and Gonzalez is looking to find a way through this basically. He's looking to try and go the distance here, throwing flurries, but he feels like he's getting a little bit too much under the cosh. He'll produce something to try and get Silyagin to back off. It'll be interesting to see, won't it, if Silyagin can go through the gears a bit in rounds 4, 5 and 6, just ramp it up bit by bit, whether he can get Gonzalez into that place where he's feeling a bit sorry for himself and doesn't really want to know. I think it's possible.
It is, but I imagine here that we don't have the virtue of translation here at the moment, but whatever the Venezuelan version of the riot act is, I hope that the trainer is reading that to him right now, because it just seemed to Scheller was happy to go on the ropes. The body shots were openings for Silyagin. He found them. He did answer with trying to throw like a big overhand right, a couple of shots as well too off of the back of it, but you can't repeat that pattern from the third into the fourth now. And 6-round contest. The window closes.
No, he's not come here with a ton of ambition, I don't think. I think that's a fair comment. And what it's looking like is that he is looking to fulfil the role of an away corner fighter here and get through the 6 rounds. Originally, I think it was slated for 8. That was the information we had, and knocked down to 6, which would have been something I think that Team Gonzalez would have wanted rather than Silyagin.
We've got to give the credit to Silyagin here as well too, because that jab that puts you in your place and that makes you hesitant, that forces you to think whatever offense you had, that corrects you.
Switch stance again there, Silyagin, now back to orthodox. He gets kind of caught halfway between the two at times, deliberately, I think, for the most part. He'll step into that right hand. I described it as a right hand leaned earlier on. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just him stepping into a southpaw jab, really, just turning the stance around completely. And then he'll throw the left hand, then another right, which is what we watched Sergey Kovalev do for years and years and years, and you can make an impact with that, definitely.
You can afford to make the mistakes, you can afford to take risks, because there's just not a lot of adventure coming from Gonzalez, and when he does do that, he finds a couple of jabs at the top, might be blocked, but then he finds that right hand down to the body, which hasn't told yet, but will slow down Gonzalez.
Gonzalez just taking the opportunity here to get on the front foot a little bit. I think he looked at Silyagin, felt like he was maybe trying to nick a touch of a rest.
He wants to push, or at least force Silyagin to throw, and then he'll throw a big winging right hand over, again like he did previously. Those opportunities just seem too far few. He needs to just vary this up a bit as well. It's thrown to the head. I don't see much body work from Gonzalez either.
Si tú le das otro como el de hace rato.
He's looking for the body there with that right hand, Gonzalez. He was well short with it.
That range,
end.
that range.
Садовое кольцо с 2003 года создает современные жилые дома высокого качества. Сегодня география присутствия компании включает...
Very rarely throws a single jab, Silyagin, does he? It's usually a double, a triple sometimes. He doesn't extend it all that much, but he does have good success with it. As you said earlier on, it keeps you occupied. It's always something to think about.
That's exactly what it is. You might have a thought of what you're going to do, or have an idea to set a trap there, but when you've got 3 jabs landing in your face or and occupying that space, it's hard to affect what you were planning to do, and that must be the trouble that Gonzalez is going through right now. A little bit of lack of ambition in there as well, but then the onus switches over to Silyagin to go through the gears a little bit more and see if he can land a dent in like he did in that first round, where Gonzalez seems to be hurt by that, or at least bothered by that shot in the ear.
And I think that's what we want to see him do now. As you say, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but just get that tempo up and really try and put your man under some pressure, make him really, really uncomfortable, and just see what happens, because things can unravel quite quickly. It's not the be-all and end-all getting stoppages, but you know, this is a 6-round fight. It's on a good platform. It's a marked time fight for him, really. As I say, I think they were hoping for something a bit meatier for him, but this is an opportunity to impress. So don't just go through the motions. push it and push it hard, because the punch that really worked for him in that first round was the one that kind of looped in around the back of the guard, and that is there for you as well with that high guard he's got, which is in front of the face. You see it there. That's a perfect angle of it there. That right hand in round the back. I think that's something that could, as it did earlier, pay some dividends.
It's clearly hurtful with his shots, because the shots that get through, whilst you don't see a reaction on the face, but they've stopped Gonzalez from throwing like he did previously. And I think that's the tell of a fight. He's got more in his locker, which is whether he wants to bring it out of him. Well, with, like we mentioned before, with the super middleweight division having a lot of movement, maybe you just want to get through these type of fights and just cement your position. Don't have to take any risks, don't have to do anything silly, because you know you're in a good place right now and you're moving on to better things. So don't risk getting caught, get through the fight, look good doing it, don't take many shots. But that's what's been closed as well too after that second round. Not a lot coming back. The brilliant flurry there, and there's no offense back from Gonzalez too, so that in itself is impressive, apart from this little bit of petulance that's come out from Gonzalez.
That was good from Silyagin. Good rapid hand speed up close. He catches a couple of jabs there as he's trying to just back pedal slightly.
Just good movement there, pivot off of that, each wants to maybe come back with it, left hook off the back of that.
But this is good from Gonzalez. He's looking to try and make his own argument here. He's not just going to allow Silyagin to have it all his own way. He's experienced enough to know that that's not the way to do things here. He's losing the fight, he'll know that. He's lost every round. But he doesn't want Silyagin to get too much wind in his sails and really fancy this in the 6th and final round. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Gonzalez come out at the start of the 6th with a little bit of snap. Because if you can do that, then it'll just make your opponent think twice about really going for broke or really putting their foot flat to the floor in that final 3 minutes. Put them more in mind of just accepting the points win. He's that experienced, Silyagin. Fighters who've boxed as long as he has at international elite amateur level, and all of that WSB he had as well, they generally don't go looking too hard for stoppages. They understand that the more you look for it, as the adage goes, the less likely it is to come. But I would still like to see him really pursue it.
Might be a little bit of a weird thing to say, but it's almost like he's sort of happy to give away those jabs in exchange for a little bit of breather. That those jabs that he took in this round were after that flurry where he must have thrown surplus of 10-15 punches or further from that. So it was almost like he was happy to, look, you can have those 3 after I've landed that multitude of punches. In return, I can take a little bit of a breather and then mount some offense again off the back of it. But that's all he's been limited to, Gonzalez, for the last couple of rounds, and Silyagin will be more than happy with that.
Yeah, I think if Silyagin had longer here, I think if he did have the 8 rounds or if he had 10 rounds, then you know he would know. He's realised already that with somebody like Gonzalez, if he's going to really get on top of him, then he's going to have to take a few himself. That's the trade-off, isn't it, basically? It's that right hand again. We saw the replay between rounds where he did manage to get one in round the back of that glove, and when he does that, it looks like it could potentially be damaging. But Gonzalez, to be fair to him, outside of that complaint in the first round, hasn't really shown any signs of distress. He's not really shown any sign of being hurt.
Right hook to the body from Silyagin. It's a nice shot. He's just not landed it enough. Landed it early in this first round, in this 6th final round, sorry.
You turn, okay? What?
Looked to try and pin his man on the ropes there. Gonzalez did well though, just slipped the right hand, dipped, got underneath and manoeuvred his way off those ropes.
That's the difference between a little bit, well, more than just a little bit of experience. You saw Gavrikov pinning by Mulder on the ropes, and by Mulder didn't know what to do. But then Gonzalez, when he pinched the ropes, just moved forward, stifled the flurry, and then was able to get back into the center of the ring.
So inside the final minute, you look at him switch between stances, Silyagin. You do get the feeling he's more effective when he just stays orthodox. I think most fighters are more effective in one stance than the other. Switching is something that you see lots of people do. I think there's not that many people who use it all that effectively.
Yeah, he looks a lot more loose when he's in orthodox. By no means is he bad in southpaw. You just you feel like his home's more orthodox, and he's able to move around the ring a little more freely from the orthodox stance. You haven't really seen him throw a big shot though, have you, through these 6 rounds?
Not really, not really. So there goes the bell. There's a good 6 rounds for Silyagin. He will have known about Gonzalez. He'll have known that he brings a good record. He'll have known that he'd gone the distance with Jean-Black Bishamov, for example, as mentioned, who's a very good fighter. And as we said, you don't go looking for that stoppage too hard. And the merits of a performance are not judged solely on whether you manage to get somebody out of there or not. But it was a worthwhile outing for him on a good card, on a good platform. Gonzalez, as you say, he showed experience there. He didn't show a ton of ambition. He's travelled a long way. He wanted to hear the final bell, and he made sure he did that.
And what was impressive about Silyagin's performance is that he made it routine. He made it look routine pretty much from the outset. And he forced Gonzalez, after that second round where he saw some offense, minimal off of the back of that, and that's what's really impressive. I think Silyagin didn't really make any adjustments, but he just put a little bit more of what he's about into the fight. He came round with some hooks, left hooks and right hooks up top, and then the body shots down on the right side of Gonzalez, his left, sorry. They were able to put him off from being as venturous as he was in the second, and that's what I think is impressive from Silyagin's performance here. He gets through, he doesn't take any real damage. He allowed Gonzalez to throw what he wanted, really, and that came with minimal risk, and that itself is impressive in its own right.
Number 7 with the IBF, number 8 with the WBA. They need to try and get him up those rankings. Silyagin, that's the mission, really. You mentioned his age earlier on, and the 32, and the condition he's obviously always kept himself in. He certainly lived the life. I'd say there's enough left there, but a sprawling, long international amateur career and a lot of 5-round fights in WSB. He has got some miles on the clock.
It only gets tougher. I mean, you look at when you move your eyes from Crawford and Canelo, you look at Martinez and then Billy that was on the undercard, and that was a real rock'em sock'em affair. Neither really budged, did they, from that fight? So from those rounds. So you look at Silyagin and where he wants to get to. That's the level that you're going to operate, and you feel like he's got the ability to do that, but that's where he's going to have to get to next to really get himself in title contention.
Yeah, that was a tremendous fight. It really was.
Итак, дамы и господа, в первом поединке основного карда единогласным решением судей победу по очкам одержал и остается не знающим поражений Pavel Silyagin, Россия!
So Silyagin with the win, as was expected, and as we've been discussing, it's a case now of just mounting that challenge, working out what the best route is. And that was that shot in the first round that he didn't like Gonzalez, and he certainly didn't enjoy. But after that, he did a pretty good job, the Venezuelan, of staying out of major trouble.
Just watching that replay back, there was a little bit of wobble that came from it. It was an ear shot, wasn't it? So the equilibrium would be a little bit scrambled after that. But Silyagin maybe just didn't see it, or maybe thought it was a little bit just too early. Just to, and this is someone who's capable of defending themselves, maybe felt he was showing a little bit more than maybe was affected. So just on a cautionary eye as opposed to looking to mount off the back of it. But it seemed like he had his opponent in a bit of a state.
Congratulations there from IBA President Umar Krumlov.
Not marking him, he'll be out soon enough.
You'd think so. You'd certainly think so.
Дамы и господа, наш турнир IBA.Pro 9 в Башкортостане продолжит 6-раундовый женский поединок. И прямо сейчас добро пожаловать в черный угол ринга из Турции Неслихан Мулаоглу.
So next up, we've got 6 2-minute rounds in the welterweight division, and making her way to the ring now from Turkey is Neslihan